Hello and welcome back to Downtime Activities. Welcome back to our Rebel Scum game, where our Rebel Scum have just come back after having successfully lifted some experimental starships, some X-Wings, and some consensual theft was done, as well as lifting a couple of engineers that can help maintain and produce these in the future, all in the name of a young upstart rebellion.
Yeah, and only lost 2 ships and 3 pilots.
That's right. But you also gained a pilot in Scoos.
Yeah. I don't know if I would want him flying anything.
He'd probably do better than Dev did. He'd probably at least do the same. He'd also just do barrel rolls thinking that's a neat trick. Anyway, you guys are now back on the Hidden Rebel base on Dantooine and have a little bit of time to kind of recoup. Are either of you injured? I don't think either of you got shot in the last one. It was more social than anything.
Yeah.
You guys were able to kind of talk your way into running. So no wounds needing to be healed. But you have a little bit of time to kind of just have some downtime. You know, a little bit of time in the base, kind of maintaining equipment, training if you're wanting to do that with anybody, any of that kind of stuff.
I didn't ask in the last session, but for Badger, have the headaches been coming and going?
They have been. Something that I was going to mention this session, actually, is that it's one of those things where more or less you're only noticing it early in the morning or late in the evening, and so you're able to kind of sleep it off or just kind of shake it loose, but they definitely have still been happening. You still have those splitting headaches. And you don't have any of the medication to help with them anymore. But it's as they've gone on, they've become both more and less severe. Like it's a very sharp, real pain.
Okay.
But you've become more accustomed to them and become a little more like open to the idea of them because your brain hurts, but your mind feels very clear while they're happening instead of foggy.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And it's just a couple of days after you guys have arrived that something else will happen. What do you guys do for the next couple of days?
Probably Badger's probably just resting, sleeping, and probably not trying to do too much because he's still kind of under that impression, like the rebel, like even though Shulo is on his side, like people.
You're friends with the guy at the very top, but a lot of the people in between are a little questioning towards you. After the mission you've done, both of you guys are like, you're treated with, if not more trust, at least more respect, the both of you now, as having been kind of like, you're no longer like farmers trying to join the rebellion, and you guys are seen as more like agents of the rebellion now, having done a successful mission like that. With very few hitches, at least to the common man in the rebellion looking at it. It looks like the mission went off without a hitch. He came back with a bunch of starfighters. They don't know any of the in-between, and we don't need to get into... you can kick the ballistics on that.
Yeah, we can... we don't have to tell them about, Scoo's disappearing super early.
Don't have to worry about any missing pilots, or if not all the ships made it out. What matters is you got a bunch of X-Wings, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And there's a lot of, like, over this time, or these next couple of days, there's lots of, like, flight training, and there's lots of these X-Wings going up, and you can see they've kind of been split into basically 2 divisions, and that they're kind of flying in formation and doing practice runs, although very close to the orbit of the planet, and they tend to be doing it when it's stormier out and stuff. Seems like they don't want to draw attention because these are very hot items still, but they are going through the motions, learning maneuvers, and training with these ships. What about you? You scruffy-looking nerf herder?
Yeah.
You scruffy-looking rebel scum?
I think I kind of look around and see if there's any farming being done or any farmers.
There's tons of farmers that are trying to become rebels.
Right.
Do you mean as far as, like, for food?
Well,
Like farming going on for this compound, basically?
yeah, just something like that.
I'd say there's some along those lines. They probably don't have, like, a nerf ranch, but they probably have, like, some farms and stuff, some, like, smaller sections, just to try and be kind of self-sufficient in the food department, since they see this as a long-term base.
All I do the whole time is just discuss farming with farmers.
And you go over and you say, I remember farming. He says, farming. And you look at each other, shake hands, and say, we are farmers. Bum, ba, da, bum, bum. You don't have to hate me. I hate me already.
Immediately unsubscribe to this channel right now.
Do it before it's too late. During this time, you guys do these tasks. You kind of keep to yourself. You kind of do a little bit of maintenance on your own equipment, that kind of stuff, and you discuss farming with farmers and help out a little bit in the farms. And after a couple days' time, a couple things happen. First, about 2 days' time in, another collection of ships shows up. It looks like mostly Y-wings. It seems like a small bomber division. And it seems like it's a group of people who had these ships and were wanting to join the rebellion. And so they kind of brought these as their similar how your group brought the proton torpedoes. This group's we want to be a part of this. Here's what we bring to the table, and a group of those start showing up, kind of adding on to the small fleet starting to be built up here.
I smell Dave Mallior involvement.
You don't see him, but his smell is pervasive at all times in the air. It's the smell of a dapper. It's kind of like if a dapper smuggler was the smell of cherry soda, then. This smell in the air is like cherry aha or water. It's Dapper Smuggler got sneezed into just some carbonated water, and so just a little bit of Dapper Smuggler in the back of your throat as you drink it. A couple days later, a very different ship shows up, and this one seems to be welcomed in as if they probably already had some sort of dealings here. And the ship that shows up, just so you guys can look it up and see what it looks like. It's nothing very fancy to look at, but it is an HT-2200 medium freighter. It's kind of two giant cargo crates with a little ship in the back of it. It's a medium-sized cargo ship.
Something like this.
And you can see it's a little different than your average one. It doesn't have those bridges in between it, between those two big cargo containers. And there's a loader arm, and you can see basically shielded inside pieces, almost like small hangar bays where small ships or vehicles could come out of. Mm-hmm. And the ship lands, and are you guys coming out and seeing who comes out of it?
Yeah, I'll go see. Okay. I'll go see what's up.
Walking out is a couple different people. You can see let's see here. You can see a human man who is kind of in just generic spacer gear. However, he has on a cavalry style hat, a fold hat with one of the folds up on the side. Okay. He has a pair of spacer goggles on and a curled mustache. There's a droid walking with him, who, if you'd like to make a mechanics check to kind of know what type of droid it is, looks something between a battle droid and a protocol droid. It's very strange, humanoid in shape. It'd just be average mechanics.
2 success and an advantage.
It's that this is a search and rescue style droid.
Okay.
This is a model of droid that's usually designated for people lost in avalanches and stuff like that. But there's one of those guys kind of walking with him, has a med kit on his chest and a little blaster, and you also see a Doug, which is Sebulba, the guys with the arm legs and leg arms.
Okay.
Who all come off of this ship and start walking in. A couple people say hi and come up and greet them, but they seem to be going kind of straight back for the main control room, where your buddy is.
Where I know where Shulo is.
Shulo is. Where
Shulo?
What was his rank?
Aiden Shulo.
Captain Shulo?
I don't remember. I think it was Captain, something like that.
I think Shulo's a captain. Captain Aiden Shulo. Yes, Captain. And they kind of enter in. The droid seems to move with this guy with the hat and goggles. The Doug seems to kind of separate off and start looking around the outside of the ship, and looks like he's kind of just doing he looks like doing mechanics work, looking around and just testing on the outside of the ship, seeing how things look. And they go inside.
I guess I'll kind of walk up to somebody who was greeting them and just ask what the deal was with this group.
The guy you come up to says, that's long list note says that's Alucurn. He's friend of the cause. He kind of eccentric. From what I understand he's fairly wealthy, some sort of political type or something in a past life, but What I know now is that he does some missions and moves freight and stuff for us here.
Yeah, okay.
And from what I understand, he's been on a somewhat hush mission for the captain for some time.
Interesting.
The commander, excuse me. He says, I don't know the details of it, but that's last I know of it.
I'm trying to think what I want to do from here. Maybe I'll go up and catch them while they're in the meeting with Shulo.
Okay. Heading up there?
Yeah, heading up there.
What are you doing?
I reckon I'm just still hanging out.
Okay. One of the I named these guys. Not Tyso. Where are they at? Oh yeah. Taquin, one of the two randos that went with you on your last mission.
Oh yeah.
He comes up to you. He's like, I got guard duty on the outer perimeter, and Elidar's sick. Mind coming with me? Supposed to have a second.
Yeah, I reckon.
Thank you. Takes a piece of weed out, puts it between your teeth, walking with you. And the two of you guys got to do kind of an outer perimeter sweep. You go ahead and roll me a easy perception while you're out doing that.
Yeah, right.
You head in here and you kind of walk into the door. Seems like just shortly after they've walked in there, and you can see kind of pleasantries being dispensed between the two of these guys. And you kind of walk into hearing Shulo say, "So, were you successful? Were you able to find it?" And you see Alucard nodding, and he says, "I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get everything we want from it, but things got weird. But I have it. Do you have anyone here with some scientific knowledge?" He says, "Not much, but we'll see what we can scram together. Badger, come on in here. Let me introduce you."
Yeah, alright.
And you walk in, he says, "Commander Badger, this is my good friend, Alucard Karster. He's been on a mission tracking down a rather strange thing for us. How familiar are you with the Bomar monks?"
Can I do a knowledge roll?
Yeah.
Well,
This would be probably, isn't there like a lore?
there is a lore.
It'd be a lore.
Oh, you know what we should do probably first?
Force
Force
die.
die.
Everyone roll a destiny. Let's get our destiny pool.
But I don't want to lose my roll.
Well, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
What's your roll?
My roll was 3 advantages, 1 triumph, 1 failure.
3 advantages, 1 triumph, 1 fail. So, for the sake of this, you're going to get to notice what this is. But the failure is the fact that it's pretty foreboding what it is. With the triumph specifically, you are like out kind of walking, doing a sweep outside of the base, and you see what looks like a flying in drop pod fly in and land on surface of this world, maybe a mile out ahead of you. And looking at it, it's not exactly the same, but looks dangerously similar to what you saw him climb out of. It looks Imperial.
Oh, fuck.
I knew that they were all just crashing down the planet. It's their new tactic.
Now roll a force die.
Okay,
for
now
me.
let's roll first. A dark side.
The dark side?
Clear. Oh, I can't do
A dark
force dice
side?
on here anyway.
2 light side. All perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Alright.
Okay, so now I'll roll my lore knowledge for
Yes.
this. An advantage.
You don't know anything specific about the Bomar monks or their beliefs. What you know about the Bomar monks is that the, enlightened big members of their following are those brains in a jar that walk around with the robot spiders. If you've seen, the beginning of episode 6, I think, where there's that, spider crawling in the desert on Tatooine, and there's, the orb underneath it.
Yeah.
That's a Bomar monk. It's literally a brain in a jar that has this, robot spider that they walk around with. That's all you know about them. You don't know anything about their beliefs or anything. He says, there's a bit of history, lore, legend, really, of a device that could be very, very useful to our cause. However, the only people to really have any knowledge were some of the older, more revile of the Bomar monks, and one in particular allegedly had dealings with the fragments of a group that had this technology in the past. And that's what Alucard here was tracking down. He says, and it got weird, let me tell you. Long story short, this monk turned into a spice addict, and now this brain in a jar is sort of floating in a snow globe of drugs, and is completely addled and indiscernible in his mindset. I'm not sure exactly how we'll be able to extract information from this brain in its current state, but we have to figure something out. This could be a game changer in our efforts. Cutting back to you. This thing crashes over there, and this guy who you're out, this rando who you're out there with, just kind of turns and looks at you, and he's like, what do you suppose that was? Space garbage, or?
I've seen one of them before. Go tell that Imperial feller that's with us. Another one of his ships fell on the ground.
Right away. You got it. He's going to turn and go. Where are you going?
I reckon I'll just sit there and watch it.
Okay. You kind of take a little time. You're sitting here watching kind of the horizon where it crashed down. And it seemed like it was more landing than crashing. His was very much a crash. This thing seemed to be steering itself, to land here. And after a little bit of time...
I'm really jealous at that fact. That's bullshit.
He's just a better pilot.
Go ahead and roll me an average perception.
Ain't gonna be very good.
My nerves.
Oh wait, no, never mind. That's gonna be good. I do have good. Four successes, one advantage.
Oh my
You
God.
see, hovering, kind of coming over the edge of this, one of those like floating Imperial like spy droids, basically with like little dangly arms and stuff. I think episode 5, the beginning, the little hawk. I should have called it Colt. This like kind of droid. The advantage is if you see it kind of hovering, it's kind of almost going at an angle and seems to not be heading directly towards you or the base, but seems to be surveying and floating this direction.
Wait a little bit.
Okay.
Until it gets in range.
Go ahead and roll me a stealth. Go ahead and roll me an average stealth. And I'll give you a boost die on it because this thing was not heading directly in your path.
Average, you see it.
Mm-hmm. Average with a boost.
1 success, 3 advantage.
Okay. It'll kind of cross in front of you and it does not seem to have taken notice. It's going to be within medium range.
I guess I probably wouldn't know anything. Can I roll something to see if I know what it is?
You don't need to roll to know that this is an Imperial droid. You don't know specifically what kind of...
I don't know that it's a spy droid. I just know it's...
You know it's an Imperial droid, and that's not a good thing. You don't want it to see the base, that's for sure.
Well, the disgruntled farmer thing to do would be to shoot it. So I'm going to do that.
As a disgruntled farmer, you have to do a disgruntled farmer thing.
So... And it is no difficulty to try to hit, right?
It is difficulty. It's average difficulty at medium range.
Oh, that's
so
right.
Be 2 of those. However, I'm going to give you a boost on this as well because you snuck up on him.
You snuck up on him.
I didn't even have to change anything. Well, I did actually.
Oh, fuck!
Is that 7 advantage?
7
2 failures.
2 failures.
Jesus. Here's what happens. You miss. But it's not a miss because, like, you fire and it misses going past it. You, like, line up and you pull, and the gun kind of sputters and doesn't shoot. And that's why you miss.
Oh.
And so it makes no noise and draws no attention to you. Go ahead and give me a quick mechanics check. An average mechanics check. See if you can get this thing to... Easy mechanics check to see if you can get this thing to
just punches it.
you can get this thing to cooperate and fire again. But this little misfire.
This is gonna be pain.
It's just like a jammed little piece. You're like, yeah, I smack this enough.
One success, 2 advantages.
All right, you're able to get it ready to fire again and do so quietly. So this thing is still within medium range, but it's about to leave that range. You got another shot.
One more opportunity
To seize everything you ever wanted. Will you let it slip and roll 12 advantage again?
2 successes, 4 advantage.
Alright, and with yours that's 12 damage because 10 from the bowcaster. So you blast and this thing kind of and falls over. Sparks and smoke rise from it. Seems to be destroyed.
I did it.
You did it!
I did it.
Cutting back to you.
Oh, okay.
This Alakern character says, we have it on board the ship. I'm thinking we'll bring it in here, and you're welcome to be here and help however you think you can to try and figure out how to get information from this thing.
I will sure as hell try.
It is, he turns to the droid, and sorry, it's SARD. He's going to say, 561, go and grab the brain. And the droid will leave. Okay. He's going to say, so, Badger, clone trooper.
Yes.
Not Imperial.
Not anymore.
Ah. Seems fewer and fewer clones are part of that organization. For the better, in my opinion. Of course, I have no high opinion of the Empire. What happened?
A little bit of forcing out. We'll just call it that.
Well, perhaps this was a blessing in disguise. I certainly think you're an asset, I'm sure, to operations here. So, not being a part of the Empire anymore, with the path they are on, I think is a good thing. Though it may not feel like it at the moment.
I just kind of stare him down like I have no rebuttal to that.
Yeah.
Just like
are you like heading back? I assume after you shoot it, or what are you doing next?
I don't know. I think I probably ought to stay out and watch and make sure another one doesn't pop out of there.
Okay. After a little bit of time, you see moving in with this circular jar with kind of a fixing mount on the top of it, holding it. Really, it's like a sphere under a like a drape that he walks in with, and he takes the drape off and sets this brain up on the kind of countertop there. And you see Shulo start to get out some like different wires and connectors and stuff and hook things into the kind of mounting bracket on this brain. And he flips a switch to kind of turn on basically like an audio interface for this thing to speak. And you just hear like and seeing this is like literally think like a fish who just had fish food sprinkled in his bowl, but the fish food's like semi-metallic.
Okay.
Like it's a brain floating in a jar with some wires and cords hooked into it, and this like shimmery dust floating around in the pool around it. And at this, the door opens up again, and walking in, you see a guy that looks vaguely familiar to you. Maybe he went on a mission with you or something. He's got a generally forgettable face, and he comes in and he's like, "Sirs, the hell." Imperial dropship, sirs. The hairy one told me to find you and say that another one of your ships landed.
Well, one of my ships. What? All right, I'll be back.
They say, we'll see what we can figure out here in the meantime.
I have an idea on how to possibly get this brain to talk, but that'll be for later.
That's a secret tool we'll use later. And this guy's going to guide you out, and you're going to kind of march out a ways outside of the base, and you get to the smoldering remnants of an Imperial spy droid, and you see Tobaku standing over it. Go ahead and give me an average knowledge warfare, we'll say.
Okay. 2 success.
Okay. You would know that it's fairly likely that this thing, upon being destroyed, will send out its coordinates automatically to whatever the ship that sent it was. which is dangerous, which is bad news bears.
Yeah.
You also think that there is a chance, if you react quickly enough, that you can change that signal, or at least addle it and maybe make it not as direct. But that's like hacking into this thing and doing like, it's probably going to be like a mechanics and or computers check to try and scramble that, and it'd have to be done like as soon as possible for this to not have a pretty precise location of where it was destroyed.
So I'm just kind of going to relay this to Tobaku and our forgettable friend here. Okay. Good news and bad news. Good news is you destroyed an Imperial spy droid, so our location was not compromised. Bad news is it's most likely going to be sending out a signal here with its coordinates on where it was destroyed. So
Yeah, that ain't good.
So I'm going to try and disrupt it as soon as we can. But you two may want to head back to the base and warn Shulo that we may need to make a quick getaway here. If I can't do this.
Alright.
Yes, sir. And two, you're going back to warn Shulo?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're heading out. Go ahead and give me a easy mechanics check.
Mechanics first?
Easy mechanics first. Because it's not too hard to weld into this thing. Tear into
A
this
success.
thing. A success. So you're able to open this thing up and get to the components you need to try and scramble the signal. And it'll be a average computers check to do so. And you know what? Go ahead and make that one of them purples a red.
Oh.
You thought too long.
Well, you know what? Flip one of those.
Flipping it back over.
Flipping it back over. I'm going to make my green a yellow.
There you go. I just want the chance of bad news bears.
A failure and an advantage.
You are not able to stop the signal, but you're able to scramble it to the point where you don't think it'll be precise.
Okay.
So you think that they will know this has been destroyed in this area of like space, but that's a pretty broad sense area of this space, not a specific world.
All right. Yeah. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna
Heading back to.
I'm gonna take my blaster and just shoot a couple times to blow it up.
Okay, destroy what remains.
Yeah.
And then heading back.
Yep.
Okay. You bust in to a couple guys standing around a brain in a jar that's moaning and them trying to talk to it. And they try to. Yes. What got figured out with the Imperial drop ship? What was it?
It should be noted that I don't even look or notice the brain. I just look.
Well, I'm going to destroy the spy droid. And, well, the Imperial fella are going to try to mix match its brains or something. And,
Yes, sir. Just what he said, sir.
So, I don't know. I might want to get out of here.
Like, do you think our position is compromised?
Could be.
Hopefully not.
If he ain't successful.
We'll see when he gets here, but I'll make sure that our pilots are briefed that there may need to be a evacuation soon. And Rando Calrissian will step out of the
The question is, when did Tobaku turn into Boomhauer from King of the Hill?
He turned into Boomer from King of the Hill the moment I showed up. Because he became more disgruntled and he's bitter.
And shortly afterwards, coming in will be Commander Badger. We'll be like, Badger, give me good news.
Well, I wasn't able to be successful in fully disrupting it, but the coordinates are going to be now general over this entire sector.
Well, I mean, it's just a destroyed drone, and it's not a specific location. So hopefully that'll be enough to avoid.
I may have bought us a couple more days before a second one gets sent out.
Sent out in this area, this sector. We'll have to keep an eye out for it. We'll make sure pilots are on standby at all times, but I think for the time being, we'll at least have time. We don't want to lose this base. We've spent too much time building up what we can here, and I don't want to lose that.
Have you, by chance, figured out how to get the brain talking?
We've got.
Oh, well, look, there's a brain in the jar.
He says, Nothing gets past you, though.
I've never seen anything like that before in my whole life.
So we have it hooked up to a speaking apparatus, and we've gotten some things that sound like words out of it, but that's about it. Any thoughts?
Where's Scooz?
We can call him up here.
Call him up here.
All right. They send word, and after a little while, she kind of walking in. What do you need?
Scooz, question for you.
Answer for
By
you.
chance, do you have any spice with you?
No.
You be honest with me.
Give me a charm. Give me an average charm.
2 success.
You look at the party.
I mean, our friend hooked up over there might be.
Oh, there's a brain in a jar. I've never seen anything like that.
I have strange stuff, Scooge. I've
never seen anything like that before.
Scooz, you notice how the brain in the jar, the liquid's kind of metallic looking?
Looks like spice.
Yeah.
Not that I would know what that looks like.
Well,
you see him kind of like looking at the commander.
Well, Scooz, you'd be right. He is a spice addict, and we need him talking. And I feel the only way we could do that is
You
to
need something to, a bit of an upper.
Yes, exactly.
I'll ask around. And he turns and leaves.
And look,
Comes right back. He turns and leaves and walks back in. Definitely not enough time to go and ask around. And Paul takes his backpack off and starts digging through it. And after a little bit of time, he pulls out a small, like, basically what looks like a inhaler, almost. And he's going to be like, this one's partially spent, but the guy I got it off of says pretty good stuff. And hands it to you.
I'll take it. Thank you, Scooz.
Anything for the cause.
I just kind of turn around, shake my head, and I walk over to the brain, and I kind of just tap on the jar
Okay.
to like see if anything reacts.
It's the brain itself, like, just sits floating there. You know, there's like sensory inputs on the outside of the mechanism of this thing, so it can kind of take in its surroundings. There's kind of a pause into like, and like as you tap it kind of pauses a second, and then kind of it seems like react but not respond.
I just kind of show him the inhaler. I have a little gift for you here.
Go ahead and give me a hard charm.
2 success.
2 success. And then there's the and there's silence for a second. This brain kind of floating there.
This can be yours. I'm gonna give you some of this. I need information from you. The moment I get, or I'm gonna give you a little bit. Then I'll need some information. Okay, so I take it, kind of input a little bit of spice, like enough for it to react, but not enough to empty.
Just a little
Yeah.
spritz.
Yeah, give him a taste.
Okay. And you kind of see, like, you spritz into this, there's like a little input, and it spritzes into this container, and you see kind of like, if you've ever seen, how do I describe this to somebody who doesn't do my job? Well, I can picture this very clearly, but there's like 2 clear liquids that are of a different viscosity, like hitting and starting to commingle, and it's almost like foggy tendrils, like twisting and moving into the jars. It kind of saturated. It seems like this spice is more of a liquid than a like dust, but it kind of swirls and kind of starts to seep into the wrinkles of this brain, and then you can see like there's kind of like there's not really a reaction because it's literally just a brain floating in a jar, but like the like moaning stops, and it seems like maybe the senses of this thing are sharpened a little bit, and there's kind of like a breathe out, like a kind of like this steadying up almost.
All right. Now that you've gotten a little bit of a fix here, how about you tell us the information we need?
What do you need to know?
And I look at Shulo. What do we need to know?
Shulo is going to look at this thing and be like, how would he word this? Be like, an ancient order, those force-sensitive but unaligned. They had a device, something that would allow them to communicate over long distances, but undetectable and untraceable by any sort of scanners. They were a hidden order. Do you know of them? And you heard this thing just kind of, in the way, just kind of floating in the jar. You see it just like, it goes, Whisper Conveyance Engine.
Whisper Conveyance Engine?
Mm-hmm. Just, you speak of the Whisper Conveyance Engine. I know of this device.
What is it?
The Whisper Conveyance Engine is, as your friend here described, a device created by a very secretive order long ago to communicate between 2 points in a way untraceable, undetectable, uninterceptable.
Okay. Do you know where it is or how we can find it?
I know rumors. I know stories, legends, tales. I know that to find one end, you must first find the other. For that is how you communicate, not? Is it not? I know rumor of where one of these receivers lies.
Okay. Well, what's the rumor and where is it?
I need your word that I will be returned to my world unharmed and with enough of this to keep my brain straight for the entire journey.
Shit. Alright. I'm gonna look at Shula and be like, well, what's our...
He says, how much spice does your little green friend have? We don't keep the stuff around here.
Yeah. Somebody call Scoos back in here.
Hey, Random, go get Scoos.
Yeah.
Right away, sir. And coming back in, he goes, yes.
Can you get more of this?
I got, a stash here, stash there. The guy I talked to said he's got more.
Scoos, I am willing to give you... How many credits do I have? Scoos, I will give you all the credits that I have. The 250 that I have. For whatever you have left.
250 credits. That's a pretty good amount of credits. Let me see. And he takes his backpack off and starts digging through it again. Takes out another inhaler thing, in this little jar, and sets it down. Now, that's what I got. It's about 250 credits worth.
I just toss him the credits.
Okay.
So give me.
He takes it and just you toss it to him in a container, and he flips it out and just dumps it loosely into his bag. Puts the backpack on. Pleasure doing business with you. And
Okay.
He'll walk away.
So I kind of point at the little stash that I've been given. That's as much as I can muster up for now. Will that be enough for you? And then I'm also going to ask Shulo, or who is it that brought him? Oh, Alkern. I'm going to ask him, can we take him back to his home planet? Is that even possible?
Says, I can get him back to where we got him from, certainly. The planet's Teth. We left on overall amenable circumstances, and the real troublemaker that I was moving with isn't with us anymore. So I think that I should be able to bring him back, though I'm not sure you'll be able to return. Semantics. I can, yes.
Okay, I look at the brain. I've given you your amount, and I can guarantee you that the people who brought you here will take you back. Do we have a deal?
Go ahead and roll me another charm. This one will be an average charm, and give yourself 2 boost die on it.
Don't trust me, an Imperial.
And a success and 2 threats.
Success and 2 threats. Okay. He says, this is an acceptable deal. But understand this. This location you seek is tucked away in a dangerous place on a dangerous world. And this world and the inhabitants there may not want you to go digging around to find it. But I will tell you what I know. The rumors, the tales I have been told. One end of the Whisper Conveyance engine resides in a lost temple to this strange order on the planet of Tishar, hidden away in a jungle.
Oh, great.
I know only that it is hidden there, and that there are some of their species who live there that wish to keep it hidden.
Alright, can I do a knowledge?
Sure.
Check.
Give me a knowledge outer rim.
Can I give him a nod?
Go for it. Knowledge outer rim for the planet of Tishar.
2 advantages.
Okay.
I have that. Oh wait, never mind. I don't.
You can roll yourself if you want, just with, even if you don't have ranks, I want you to give a shot at it.
But the thing is, that now I'm gonna roll like 5 failures, and
Then I'll tell you a bunch
But
of
what's
false
gonna, but what's
information.
gonna be the problem here for you? It's not like we're in combat.
then I'm gonna confuse people. Say, wait, no, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, ain't that on the other end of the galaxy?
Hey, ain't that in the core world? The Cursants?
Curscant.
Would you say average?
Average.
Yeah, 3 successes.
Oh,
Two threats.
Did a lot better
With
than
the
me.
advantage, you know that this world is kind of out close to the corporate sector. It's kind of a part of like, it's like an outer rim world that's fairly well known for like manufacturing, specifically like fuels and stuff like that. But you don't really remember anything specific about the planet or its inhabitants. With your success and threat, you know that Tishar, 3 successes and your 2 threats. And 2 threats. I'll make sure it's twice as threatening. That the Tishar system is, like I described to him where it was at, it is native to the Tishar species. And the Tishar species is think sentient raptors. Like reptilian dinosaur-like creatures, but are sentient and like intelligent and have society. And they're the like primary species of this planet, and they're known for like cutthroat politics and mercantile and being like pretty brutal and violent. But they're civilized. It's not like tribes of wild dinosaurs, but it's like reptilian aliens that are known to be pretty bloodthirsty and kind of twisted and messed up with their politics. And you know that, you guys can probably astrogate to get yourself to that world, but you know where it is, roughly.
Well, this is going to be an interesting trip. Anything else you can give us?
Kind of just hovers there saying, he says, I know only that this order had some number of enemies, tried to hide, tried to keep itself secret.
Do you know? I'm just gonna ask the question because Badger's probably thinking this. What order was this?
The order had many nicknames, though the true name of it I could not tell you. All I know is they were seen as heretical and dangerous by many of those who would call themselves practitioners of the ways of the Force.
Oh God, we're going after a Sith artifact, aren't we?
Does he say that out loud?
No, I'm thinking that
You're
too.
thinking that.
Well, actually, this is more of a out of character moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you don't really necessarily understand.
Yeah,
that,
because Badger doesn't understand Sith. Like, he understands Sith, but he doesn't he doesn't know of artifacts or anything.
Mm-hmm.
If any artifacts he knows of, they're Jedi Order stuff. So, but yeah, no, that's an out of character moment.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I just kind of say, all right, and I look at Chulo. Anything else?
Says, well, you two seem to be my go-to team for missions of very strange origin. I think with our most recent delivery, both in terms of vessels as well as some equipment that Alucard has brought along with this brain, that we could help outfit you both and get you on a ship that could at least take the 2 of you. Get out to that world and see what you could find. If we could have a communication system untraceable and interceptable, that could be a real game changer in communicating across long distances and combining ourselves into a true rebellion.
Yeah, but like he said, we need both of them, and we only have the location of one.
Perhaps one will help guide us to the other. It's worth a shot.
Yeah. I kind of say, all right, and I feed more of the inhaler to the brain, and then I toss it to the droid. Like, finish that off before you use anything else on the trip.
It just, like, unreactingly catches it and, like, tucks it into a little container. It tucks in, he opens his little, like, he has, like, a med kit on his chest, and he's, like, opens the pouch and tucks it into a little slot there and closes it.
And I point at, like, the other ones that Scoo's left. It's like, don't forget those for the trip.
They'll start gathering those up, and Alucard will be like, pleasure to meet you both. As he said, we did bring some extra gear, some modification supplies, some things that we picked up on our travels that may be helpful. You're welcome to pick through and see if there's anything. I think, and he said, look at you, I'm pretty sure I saw some bowcaster modifications in there, which can't imagine very many people will get use out of, but we saw them in some old junkyard and figured better not let them rot. And look at this. Look at how this happens. You know, the galaxy, the Force, everything comes together and works out supposed to in the end.
Well,
I just kind of stare him down, just like, when the moment he said the Force, I like turn at him, like,
side eye.
like I kind of side eye him, like obviously my helmet's
Yeah.
on, but it's just like kind of glaring at him for mentioning that.
Well, I reckon, or they say, may they force it in you.
But it does. He taps your shoulder and he says, "A good try, a good try.
Right.
May the Force be with you." Is a common hello, goodbye,
I see.
best of luck to you.
Well, pretty isolated out there in the country.
Yeah, of course. Force is well, it moves in mysterious ways, and it seems less and less apparent these days. But I am sure there's something behind all of this, and that things are going to work out for the best in the end. I'm an optimist if it'll kill me.
Well, I kind of go out to go look at the mods and stuff that he has, so see if there's anything that pique my interest.
Okay, yeah. Do you guys want to go out and kind of look through stuff? For the sake of this, how many hard points do your weapons and armor have?
My rifle has 4, and my hand blaster has 3.
Okay.
And my armor has 2.
Okay.
My bowcaster has 2. Stun whip 1.
You have a stun whip?
He's a nerf herder.
I guess that's
something a nerf herder would have. And then I have where did I? Oh, yeah. I have my hunter's trophy suit.
Mhm.
Oh, one
hard point on this. Okay. All right. For the sake of this, we'll start with you. Looking through this stuff, you can find 2 bowcaster mods inside of here if you'd like to use them. One is the bowcaster automatic reconquer,
Nice.
which is something that means you won't have to use a maneuver to shoot every round. It automatically reconks it. And you are also able to find a bowcaster accelerator enhancement, which is something that will increase the damage of it, as well as give some other options for things if they're able to mod it successfully. So there's other mods that can be done with some mechanics checks. Would you like to add both of those? They're each 1 hard point you use on your go. Adding both of those, who would you like to ask to add them to your bowcaster? It seems like there is a Doug who came with these guys seems to have some mechanics knowledge. There is the, of course, Scoo's, and there's Bypass, that maintenance droid, who all could possibly help with this. I'm not going to tell you what their mechanics skills are, but which one would you like to ask to try and put on and mod these things to your
I really want.
bowcaster?
I don't know if you should, but I really want you to ask who's.
It's not very serious.
You know too well.
He's gonna blow it up. Let's see. Okay, 1 and 2 will be the droid, and the other one will be the Doug.
The Doug. Okay. Asking him to do it. He is happy to oblige. And he will do this. They are both successfully installed. He's going to try to mod the accelerator enhancement.
Should be greedy and use a force die. Nah.
Okay. So he is able to give you 1 rank of Pierce as well. So basically what this is going to do with these mods, your damage on your bowcaster is going to go up by 1.
Okay. Damn. 11 now?
11, which is pretty brutal. And you don't have the automatic reconquer, so you don't have to worry about every round. It automatically does it, so your maneuver is free once again. You also get a mod option successfully installed, which will give it Pierce 1, which means you get to ignore 1 point of soak when you fire it.
Oh.
Which is, for anyone with soak, basically another point of damage on it. But he's unsuccessful at installing any further modifications.
Useless.
As for you, it seems like most of these modifications that aren't like the random couple bowcaster specific ones are fairly generic, like grips and slings and stuff like that as far as rifles. Digging through, you are able to find a small kit that seems to be like outfitting a blaster rifle or carbine to make it more of a marksman rifle, which could be a possibility. The other mods would be more of like very practical but not large impactful changes. Things like a free advantage getting generated, or it's kind of if you want it to be slightly better at just being a regular combat rifle, or if you wanted to have more marksman capabilities.
Okay.
Which you'd prefer there.
Well, I figure if we kind of have our sniper here with the bowcaster, because I mean anything with that damage and
it's not necessarily his doesn't necessarily have better range.
Yeah.
It's higher damage. What's the range on it?
Medium.
So he can't fire from further than medium with it, which I think yours is probably
Mine's
long.
medium.
Yours is medium also? Oh.
Yeah, if I had just the blaster rifle, it would be long, but I have the 15A blaster rifle.
It seems like this mod would make it have a longer range if you do the kind of ranged build. The other option is more.
So when you say getting an advantage, would that be like I get a blue die?
Not a boost die, an advantage like literally when you roll and you get like a success and an advantage.
Oh.
Like you just automatically would get like a free advantage. It's kind of there's other things that'll go into it, but it's kind of which style you want your gun to be.
I guess I'll make it more marksman.
More marksman.
Am I going to lose the auto fire setting?
No, you won't lose any auto fire. It'll still be functional the way you've been using it. It's just, do you want it to be a little bit better in average engagement or have better options at long range?
Okay.
Is kind of the choice.
Then yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with that.
Okay. So you're going to be able to get a telescopic optical sight for it, which is going to reduce the difficulty of long or extreme range combat checks by 1. And can't be modded any more than that. So basically, normally when you shoot at long range, it's a hard check, and when you shoot at extreme range, it's a daunting check, which is 4 purple. But for you, long range will be the same as medium range. It'll just be 2, and extreme range will just be 3 if you have extreme range, which you may be able to get. The other thing is a hunting barrel, and that'll give you +1 range band for your weapon. It also makes it more cumbersome, but that's not a problem. You have... what's your strength? Your brawn. Is it 3?
My bronze 2.
2, and then it doesn't have any ranks of cumbersome at the moment, does it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it made it to have cumbersome 2, which means that to adequately use it, you need 2 points of brawn. So you're fine.
Yeah, I think I'll just stick with just the.
And so it won't be. So yeah, the range will be. So that means basically you can shoot at medium or long range, and at long range it'll still just be 2 difficulty instead of 3.
All right. Yeah.
And then he's going. Who are you going to ask to mod to put these on?
Try the droid. Yeah, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'll use the droid.
Use the droid. Okay.
Was there anything for the armor in there?
There is. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
One more chance. Okay. Lots of advantage, but failure. So, this will also with the hunting barrel. He's able to mod it in a way that makes it even more accurate, and it's going to give your weapon the accurate 1 quality, which will let you add a blue die when you fire with it. I believe. Let me make sure. But this means you get a boost die when you're shooting. Item qualities. Don't play me like this, fandom wiki. Oh, here we go. Maybe this will work. There we go. Accurate is passive.
Screws sees us asking the other
For
people.
each of those trait attacker adds a bonus die to his attack.
Why you not come to Screws?
So you will automatically add a blue die to all your combat checks with it.
Even if I aim, like
if you aim, you add an additional blue.
Okay.
So like you just get a free boost die on all combat checks.
Sweet.
Because your gun's just very accurate.
Nice.
With that, we will swap over to the armor. Yours has 4 optional slots for this, right? You have 4 hard points
Me?
for yours, and 1 for you, Square?
I have 2 optional.
Oh, you have 2 hard points on your armor.
Yeah.
With 2... Square, I'm going to start with this one and offer it to you. Because I think you would notice this and be all about it.
Mm-hmm.
You see a set of jump boots.
Oh.
Do you want a set of jump boots? It only requires 1 hard point. You can install it into your boots. And it's basically like little jetpack boots. Unless it gets modded successfully, you won't be able to like fly around like a jetpack with them. But you can jump really high and like shoot yourself up onto higher obstacles and stuff.
Now that would be super rad, but I don't have feet.
Oh my god. For you, it's like a little ring with rockets on the side around your tail. I would allow you to try and mod it to use it if you still want those.
Okay, I'll
if
give
you
it a
think
shot.
it's too much of a flavor fail, you don't have to. But I think it's hilarious that the snake leg guy has jump boots.
Okay, I want it.
Are you continuing to trust the Doug to do it for you?
I trust the Doug.
Okay.
The reaction when Erickson found out you didn't have...
It's like, oh.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's like one little, like, it's just one little.
Ooh, he's got a chance. He's got a chance.
Yeah,
One more
just
roll.
a shoe.
Success in the trial. Oh, you lucky duck. So, yours will functionally allow you to fly for a total of 1 minute or 3 rounds. So it's basically you have like a tiny little tail jetpack, kind of little apparatus around there that you can use to like boost yourself up and jump into higher places. But you can also fly for only a total of 1 minute. It's worth saying you do have to put fuel in this, and refueling takes time, and it costs 100 credits each time you refuel it.
Oh.
But for like little boost jumps, it'll use a negligible amount, and it'll be until you actually like fly around for a while that you'll need to like really refuel them. As for you, with your 2, you've got a couple options.
Okay.
You know, I had macro binoculars. I could have used that when I was on the perimeter. That didn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry.
You see 2 different 2 hardpoint modifications you could add to your armor. One is a portable plasma shield. Basically, a wrist-mounted plasma shield you can activate. That'll make you be harder to hit. However, when it is active, you can't use that arm to fight with. So you'd have to use like your pistol and the shield, or your rifle. You wouldn't be able to use the shield with your rifle.
Okay.
The other one you see is a kind of integrated medical system. It requires a suit of armor like yours, like a kind of full encompassing suit of armor. Mm-hmm. But when applied to it, will basically allow you to heal naturally more easily. Like when people make healing checks on you, it'll be easier for them. As well as it'll also give you the ability to basically have like a free stim pack per session that you can like get hit with. So it's like one that has like some benefits to healing and makes you able to heal kind of for free every now and then, or a kind of defensive shield you could apply to your armor. And there's plenty of other like kind of random mods, but these are the like nice ones that you guys are able to find in the stack.
What? So the shield, if like say that gets hit, like what? How much damage can that take?
It doesn't take damage. It just makes you harder to hit.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's an incidental to activate, so you can just choose to have it active for a round. But when you have it active and you're using it to defend yourself, that arm is used. So you'd have to be using your blaster pistol. But it basically is going to make it. It's, I mean, mechanically, depending on what other mods and stuff might be different, but it's mechanically going to give you an extra rank of defense while it's active, which is another setback die that they have to roll when shooting at you.
Then I'm going with that.
Okay. Are you trusting the droid to do yours again?
Yeah, I'll trust him to do mine again. What is it? What is this one called again?
This is a portable plasma shield. And it gets affixed as like a projector almost on your the forearm of your bracer,
Okay.
and it projects out as like a plasma shield you can put up and protect yourself with. And with that,
and how much defense does that add?
That's dependent
on how successful
this guy is.
Well, let's pray he's super successful.
Okay, he is successful at putting it on. However, he is not successful in modifying it. So it gives you 1 rank of defensive. So basically, when it's active, it'll be one additional setback die for people shooting at you.
I should have gone.
Actually,
I should have gone with what's his name.
wait a second. I mean, technically I should keep it, but I rolled an easier roll than I should have.
Oh.
So I will give him another chance, because that wasn't the true roll. Although I should just keep it because he rolled an average check instead of a hard check. Anyway, you're doing the droid, right?
Yeah.
Yes. For advantage. I don't know if that's successful. I think you have to get successes. But that's for that one. Is he able to do it with this one? Yeah. Okay. It'll actually be 2 ranks of defensive, but no ranks of deflection. So
Dang.
you'll get 2. They'll have 2 setback die though if you have it active to defend yourself.
Sweet.
And the whip, I guess. Let's see, is there anything for the whip? Go ahead and give me an average perception check, digging through this to see if you find anything for the whip. Square.
No, sorry, what?
You're good. Average perception check to see if you find anything for the whip.
Man, I can't find anything. There it is. Two successes, 1 advantage.
2 success, 1 advantage. Okay. One moment. Oh, don't mind me like this. God, this is driving me crazy.
You've been rolling really well.
Yeah, I've been rolling really well. Well, except for that. Except for when I almost blew up my gun.
Yeah.
I recovered.
Yeah.
Went.
Not bad.
Well, more like.
There we go.
Need to remind myself that I have these abilities
You know what's gonna be really ironic if it's revealed to us like after all of this that Scoos has actually a high mechanics.
Okay. So you do find an energy overclock setting that you could apply to this. That would basically supercharge it. As a maneuver, you can activate it, and it gives it the Vicious 3 quality. But if your combat check with it gets 3 disadvantages, and it shorts out and is unable to be used until it's repaired. So you can like overcharge it, and it'll be like really good at dealing like criticals, basically, is what Vicious does. But if you have that active and you have a bad roll, it could short the whip because it's like too much energy and like fry it, and it'd have to get repaired.
Cool.
Do you want that?
I do want that.
Okay. So you can just say Vicious 3 if overclock or something like that. And we can remember the rest of it. And you go ahead and give me an average perception to see if you can find anything for your blaster pistol.
Or my combat knife. One of the 2. One advantage.
All you find that would be really good for the pistol is a blaster suppressor. It just adds 2 setback die to perception checks and vigilance checks to locate you after you shoot. Basically. So it's harder for people to hear. It's a silencer.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't need
Do you want no? Okay. Sounds good. And with that, that is your guys' modifications.
Sweet.
Did you know that I could have added a blue to that stealth check?
Because of your...
Because of my ability?
Oh yeah, do you have one of those from your like specialty?
Yeah. I need to really pay attention to that.
And one last thing from this... Well, actually... Yeah...
It's a winning ways.
Yeah.
Find a lightsaber.
Digging through here, you're like, oh, okay, neat. Stick that in here for later. The last thing...
Where'd you find the lightsaber?
You will be introduced to your new ship. That's the last thing for this session. Is you get kind of some upgraded gear and stuff, get this stuff modded and put on your armor, and then you're given the ship that's going to be home for the next little while for this next mission. And the ship that's given to you is an H-60 Tempest. Think B-Wing bomber. Kind of the B-Wing starfighter, but the kind of bomber version. But this is no regular H-60 Tempest. It is a monstrosity of an H-60 Tempest. It seems like it showed up with those other Y-Wings and was kind of like a command ship for those bombers. But certainly not the like most high-end fancy ship ever. It seems like this was a ship that was at once a Tempest bomber that has been chop-shopped and turned into something very different. So normally, the way this ship sits is kind of a cockpit, and a separate cockpit with the blaster system on it, and then this long wing in between those two. And the guy here flies, the guy here has the blasters, and the kind of bombs and stuff are aligned in this middle section.
So something like this.
It looks like somebody chopped that middle section off, brought these two things much closer, and put a much chunkier middle section on the inside.
Okay.
So it has a small like crew quarters in between. It's literally enough room for a chair with the communications array set up, 2 bunks that are tucked really tight into the wall, and a little elevator for an astromech droid. And then a tiny bit of standing room in between. It is a very cramped little box, but enough to where people could sleep and like you could live on this ship for short term.
Okay.
It seems like the ship has the pilot section, it has kind of the gunner section, and it seems like to do this, it lost some of its firepower. It has a much smaller bomb payload that it can carry, and it can't fire proton torpedoes anymore. But the communications array system, and it seems to be very high-end and nice, so you could communicate over long distances with it.
Okay.
Thusly, bomber flagship kind of control ship for this one's. However, it's not very fast, it's not super maneuverable, it's not very practical in a combat situation, but for a decent combat ship that you could travel long distance with. Also, these ships would probably not normally have hyperdrives, and this one's been outfitted with a medium-grade hyperdrive.
Okay.
So you could actually fly across the galaxy with it. Functionally, it could hold 3 people in an astromech droid, because you could have one person at the kind of communications array desk, one person flying the ship, and one person on the like weapon systems. But only 2 people could sleep at a time. There's also an astromech socket, and they do supply you with an astromech droid.
Oh, sweet.
It's what we had. So here you go. It's an R5 unit, R5 in 8. They say they call him Nate. And Nate is white and maroon with a short conical head, like most R5s. Mm-hmm. And you know the R5s are kind of the mass-produced cheapo versions of R series.
Yeah.
They're like the poor man's R2 unit, and were recalled shortly after their production because they were so faulty and had so many issues. But they're cheap as hell, and that's what you got. So Nate is your R5 unit, your astromech droid, and they'll be able to functionally like autopilot the ship for you guys so you could sleep if you wanted to, and like run astrogations checks and stuff like that for maneuvering through the galaxy.
Alright, sounds good.
And with that, I think that's where we'll stop this session. This is more of a gather information and equipment sort of a session.
Yeah.
And next time, you guys on board your new ship, which you will need to choose a name for.
Okay.
You will, I mean, if you want, you should choose a name for it.
Yeah.
You will be off to the planet of Tisharl to unravel this strange secret of the Whisper Conveyance Engine. We'll find out what that all is about next time. Thanks for watching, everybody.